Welcome to the Fink It Isn't Until It Is podcast. I'm Finn.
I'm Tim.
I'm Guy.
In which we discuss the various moving parts in a life in music. So, you're listening to the Fink podcast series 3.
Series 3. And it's a special season, this one, because it's the Tour Diaries.
It's the Tour Diaries. Our first little section is going to be a little bit of Switzerland and then Italy.
Yeah.
The Italy Diaries.
Which is where we are sitting literally now.
I think to make the scene complete, well, there's no Guy, because Guy couldn't make it.
That's
it's
right.
Finn and Tim on duo mission, taking one for the team in the van, which is good times.
Back to the splitter years, one might say.
Nicer splitter, though, I think, probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to complete this scene with a bit of, like, Radio 4 kind of sound.
Foley.
Yeah, sound Foley, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm putting some sugar into my extraordinarily strong coffee, so if in about 10 minutes I start talking really fast and my heart rate goes up, that's because, there we go, a bit of
I
Foley.
myself have decaf, so I won't be necessarily changing much. I don't know, we'll see though.
Should we describe our surroundings?
I think we should.
I mean, it's beautiful. We're in Piemonte. We did a festival last night, Jazz Refound. Really cool festival. It's in a beautiful Italian countryside, and I think we're sat in a beautiful garden. Went for a swim this morning in a nice little private pool. It's all good. Lots of terraces, vine leaves over them, and
It's very nice. I mean, it was overcast this morning, and it was a little bit kind of chilly by early September Italian standards, so it was like kind of 22, 23. And Finn and I immediately woke up and thought, great, let's go in the pool. And every Italian in sight was just like, what, are you mad? We don't go swimming in this weather. So
it's been super hot. You know, touring in September is a thing. You know, especially if you get down south, you get to Italy. I think all of Europe knows that Rome in August is an absolute
no-go area.
Oh my god, it's so hot. And it's not that. I mean, maybe some of our American listeners will be like, 35 is nothing, but 35 in a city in Europe is unbearable.
It's a different kettle of fish. It's the oppressive kind of humidity and the kind of dustiness, and also all the aircon units kind of
just
spitting out heat, you know, wherever you are. So it's and dare I say, the smells.
The city smells taking us back to times past.
Yeah.
But you know, talking of the heat, I think we had our hottest gig we've ever played in Rome, didn't we?
Yeah.
A few nights ago, we played Monk, which is this really cool kind of industrial space on the outskirts of Rome. And you said at the show, it's kind of like that. People say, "Oh wow, you know, I enjoy Rome, it's really beautiful," and they don't understand that we drove the splitter van into an industrial complex, saw the inside of a venue, and then drove out again.
3 hours later, my friend was like, "I've got a great ice cream shop recommendation." I was like, "Dude, if only."
If only. But it was so hot. They had air conditioning, but it was so packed in there.
Yeah.
And so hot that it was almost, you don't really feel the heat when you're on stage. You suddenly forget that it's hot, and you're in your moment. But when you come off stage afterwards and everything
Drenched.
you're wearing is like you've been in a swimming pool, you haven't realised it at all.
But what happens, I mean, we'll get into this, but what happens as well is that you get on, and for the first 3-4 songs, you're absolutely drenched in sweat because you're so hot. And then by about kind of track 5 or 6, you're kind of done. You've sweated all you've got left. So you get the sticky phase.
Oh, gross.
Which is terrible. I mean, for fingers.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
When you're playing a guitar.
The neck gets sticky. Yeah.
And so when we got to Berlin Sunrise, I was trying to play the intro like nicely, tastefully. And every time I changed chord, it was like, you know.
That's true. I forget that because with your fingertips as a guitarist, when you play a lot of gigs, they get quite calloused. And so when you go for the big chord grabs, your fingers tend to hurt at the beginning of a tour, but by the end, they're just like, you know, you can stub a cigarette out on the end of them. But on a wet gig, on a hot gig, your fingers are like you're in the bath.
Yeah.
So you go for these big F grabs, or you go for a big G, and your fingers are like, ouch, that really hurts. All your calluses are open, all your blisters are opening. It's so painful.
Yeah.
But then I kind of turned my grimace into another expression because I realised that I am occasionally grimacing. So I need to writhe some more.
You turn it into an expression of passion.
Exactly, a passionate grimace.
I know.
But yeah, Rome was great, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
a hot, sweaty, club gig.
Definitely. And the people, I mean, we've done... I mean, we ought to explain. I suppose we can take it kind of gig by gig, but the first 2 gigs of this run were outdoors. So to come to Rome and this be in this kind of little sweaty box was actually simultaneously really, really nice, and also a bit kind of, you know, maybe a bit kind of intense. But it was fun, and the audience were amazing. I mean, Rome has been quite nice for us over the years, but this was particularly nice, I think.
Yeah, I think this was our best. I mean, like, it's hard to say best Rome because we've done Rome in so many varying configurations. We've got memories of Rome where we had to lug the lighting rig down those stairs, and all those guys had to do it. And it was like 3 tons of hell, and then back up again after the show.
Yeah.
This one was like really... Well, we've got a new album, so we're all full of the joys of new album spring. So we're kind of like, I can't wait to play, can't wait to run, follow you down, can't wait to do what you call yourself.
And we've got an addition as well to the team on this Italian run, which is our Italian tour manager Silvano, who's standing.
Silvano,
here.
Is there something?
I think this must be the moment where we introduce him. But what were you going to say to us?
No, I just don't need to say anything. I just want to know what you're.
What we're doing? Oh yeah, this is what we're doing.
Know
we just
what's
chat.
What's your feeling about Italy?
Oh, what's our feeling about Italy? Oh, well, I mean, this time, I love it. I mean, it's always good. It's always nice. But
that implies that there's been other times where you haven't loved it.
I've always loved the country, but the gigs at the beginning were a little bit kind of... I remember the first time we played Milan, most of the mic stands were held together by Gaffer. And
I mean, Italy, as a touring entity, has definitely changed over the years.
It definitely has,
Like, it used to be... on the touring schedule, the kind of Wild West version. And we probably said this in a previous podcast. You know, you do Milan, you do Switzerland, everything functions and works, and then you hit Rome, and all of a sudden you're in like, you go on stage after dinner, I don't know, 10ish, whenever, I don't know, the sound guy's asleep, we'll wake up in a minute and stuff like this. But now it's kind of normal.
It's normal,
It's really normal.
But in a really nice way.
In a really nice way, you know. And it's good that dinner is prioritised.
We had a very nice dinner last night. After the show, that's the thing. Dinner should always be after
We'll do our dinners in a minute.
We will, but should we start from
the beginning? Okay, so there's this venue in Switzerland, Müller Hunzigen. I believe I've pronounced that horribly wrong. Which is this really awesome... It's on the way down. That's why we took it. So
it's from Bern. It's near Bern.
It's near Bern. So we drove down from Berlin, and it's kind of like on the way to our first Italian gig in Padova.
Yeah.
I played this venue last year as a kind of solo mission kind of gig, and it's got such an amazing vibe. And it's a destination gig. People come to the spot, and we were playing outdoors, and the sound check was the sun was just belting down on this outdoor stage. It was like absolutely burning us up. We had to cover all the pedals because they were like melting.
Yeah, move the guitars out of the way. I was worried my guitar was going to warp.
Yeah, it was like, it's so bakingly hot. Yeah. But you know, it was our first show and we were ready to go. We were very excited to play it, and an absolute dreamy sunset, hot night, full crowd, outdoor, absolutely beautiful moment. It
was lovely, and again another nice kind of hospitality situation.
Of course, the break cake.
The food was amazing, and then we got the break cake. Can you explain what the break cake is?
The break cake. Okay, well, the break cake at Müller Hunzigen, they got this thing where the hospitality is so great. We'll reflect that when we talk about Rome's rider.
Yeah.
But the rider in Switzerland is like, they have a chef, Mrs. Hammer, and she cooks the most, and the chefs there, they cook the most amazing quiches and local cheeses and vegan stuff and meats and you got this full backstage of just like a gastronomic feast. And then at the end of the show, they bring you a big homemade chocolate cake with your face on it, which is fun for everyone to cut into my face. And then I was talking to Leah, who is the handler, right?
Yeah.
And I was sort of saying, I feel so, you know, honoured that I get a cake. And she was like, well, everyone gets a cake. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't feel so special anymore.
No.
So there's this thing in live music called the break deal, where when you do a gig, you get your fee. Let's say it's €1,000. And then that's if no one shows up, if nobody's there, you still get your €1,000.
It's the guarantee.
It's the guarantee. If you sell it out, then you don't get your guarantee anymore. You get a percentage of I don't know, the door or a bump or a bonus or something. And often it's double. I mean, often it's significantly more if you brake.
Yeah. So there's a point, isn't there? It's not always a sellout.
It's like 85% or something like that.
Yeah.
So I said to Leah, listen, why don't you turn this cake thing into a brake cake, where if the band hits the brake, then you get your face on the cake. If you don't hit the brake, you just get the cake. And she thought that was a good idea. So subsequent bands that go to Mula Hoonzigan, you know, they're going to get a brake cake, or just get a cake.
So when you go there and you don't get your face on the cake,
gutted.
You've got Fink to thank.
I'll regret that when I don't brake next time.
Yeah,
I'll be
totally.
like, dude, oh no, I didn't brake.
Can you imagine the depressing brown item that gets presented to you with no face?
But that was loads of fun. Xavier Rudd, who's a new friend of mine from Australia, he played it a few nights before, and I was talking to his manager Mel, and she was saying that he barely fitted on that stage.
Has he got lots of?
It's a big show, even though he's solo. He's spread all over the place.
What, full band?
Just footprint is enormous.
Right.
And I can imagine that. The stage was quite pokey, but it was like, oh man, such a beautiful show. Switzerland in the sun. Bern, the morning after when we drove out of Bern, Switzerland, sunrise, beautiful weather, everything looks amazing. Mountains, oh man.
It's quite a place.
Absolutely beautiful.
I need to talk briefly about my Ghost in the Machine moment. Because it's quite.
Did that happen in Bern?
Yes, it did. Oh no, yes. So I played the first song, and the first song is always, it's We Watch the Stars. It's always a bit dicey for me because it's one of the songs on which I loop the guitar, and with the loop, the big fear is that you're not going to be able to hear the guitar loop in your monitors, so you won't be able to stay in time with it. And we've had occasions where I've kind of drifted time-wise from it. Anyway, but we played that song really well, and it was beautiful. It's, you know, sunset, and I was just thinking, okay, this is going to be a great gig. And then I picked up my guitar for the second song, and nothing came out of it.
Right, nothing.
Like literally nothing. We didn't even hear a pop or a kind of any sort of electrical crackle or anything. It just was dead, and I froze, and I just thought, what am I going to do? So in that situation, when you've got lots of pedals and you've got an amp and you've got
loads of wires,
yeah, you just think, well, what's gone wrong? At what point in this entire chain is the problem?
I mean, that's the thing, because you've got, not only are you on stage in the middle of a gig, so you're on the clock,
yeah,
but you've also got, let's say, at least 20 different leads that could be the problem on the floor, and the floor isn't well lit, and it's dark, and it's squeezed in between all your bits of drums and guitar stands and amps.
For sure, yeah.
It's a tough one.
So Finn decided to play a song on his own just to keep the party going, and while I fiddled about with this engineer, and we couldn't find it. We couldn't find what went wrong. So I decided to abandon the electric guitar, and we did the rest of the set with the acoustic guitar. Yeah. So it was a little bit kind of improvised here and there.
It definitely was.
I think we did fine.
Yeah, and then, I totally forgot about that.
And then after the show, I went back to my gear. I said to Rob, our sound engineer, please don't move anything because I want to know what the problem was. Went back to the gear, and the guitar worked completely fine.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's rubbish. And we still don't know to this day.
It's no help to anyone. I've learned nothing.
That's right, I totally forgot about that. We did that acoustically, yeah. Well, that was a challenge.
Hasn't happened since, so touch wood, won't happen again.
That was good though.
It was good, yes.
So we drove out of Bern, out of beautiful Switzerland at sunrise, and got down to Padova, which is a gig we've done before many years ago. This one is really special. So this gig is like, let me set the scene. It's like you're in this kind of mountainous region. Well, they're not mountains, they're like very big hills.
They call it collina.
Very big hills.
Yeah.
And at the top of one of these hills is an old farmhouse. And the previous owner of the farmhouse was really into music. So he built like an amphitheatre type situation on one of his fields. And the view from this field is the valley of this immense Italian valley, rolling hills, vineyards, monasteries on hilltops.
Yeah.
And it stretches as far as the eye can see, and it really is something astonishing. And that's what's behind the stage.
Yeah.
So there's nothing behind the stage. It's just a flat load of pallets and wood on the ground with a PA. And behind you is just this epic view. And as the sun goes down in front of you, as you play the show, it just gets darker and darker until that view is just black, and all it is just stars and moon
Yeah.
and the band. It's something else.
It
Again,
really
like
is.
destination venue.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is astonishing.
And it's amazing that people come to it. You kind of think, I think the first time we played it, we thought, who's going to even
Get
come
up
to
here,
this?
yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
And even more did this time, which was really lovely.
It was really beautiful. So the stress position on this gig was we get there in the rock van, and when we did it before, we did what was called a crossload.
Yeah.
So we were in the bus on a bus tour. The bus parked somewhere nearby, and then it gets put into a transit van. All the gear gets put in a van.
Yeah.
And driven up to the site. This time we're in the van.
We're the van, yeah.
So we get to the road that leads up to the site, and it's literally like a mountain goat level of extreme
gradient.
The gradient was like you'd have to use like crampons to get up there. And it's like a dusty, baked, parched track.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way that Vito's going to get up there.
Yeah.
But Silvano, Chicano, and the local was like, everyone get out and we'll see. And then
First thing, is this front wheel drive or rear wheel drive?
Yeah, so they went up. They went up one way, and they're like, yeah, okay, it's definitely the other one. And they came back down again, turned it around, and then you went front up, didn't you? Front up, yeah.
In the end. And he bombed it, didn't he?
He bombed it up there like it was like reverse bobsled kind of situation. and then, so, okay, now the van's up there. So you do the whole show thinking, okay, we've got to get the van back down. Fully packed, dusty road. That was really extreme. And so, yeah, I was one of those moments where I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I don't want to be in the van, up or down. Because there's no like safety barriers. If the van starts skidding, you're going through vineyards in a kind of National Lampoons type situations in a minute. And
but then when Silvano came to drive out, he went down very quickly.
He did, absolutely.
Zoomed down.
Yeah, the guy said, you don't have to slow down, you have to go.
Oh, really? The quicker the better.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Because
I would have.
You know, some of these crews is fair enough. You know, after the show they have a few beers. During the show they have a few beers. Maybe during load-in they have a few beers. So they can't really drive the van out. So we were kind of stuck there. But the show was truly magical, that show. Because the sound, this big pokey PA on sticks was just shooting the sound into this bank of grass. And it just deadened everything so beautifully that we could just, Rob did a great job on the sound. We could just have a really mellow, it was a really mellow set.
It was really nice. We really enjoyed and we did acoustic, you know, we're doing quite a lot of two guitars, no drums songs on this, including The Only Thing That Matters, which is always just a pleasure to play every night.
It's such a beautiful vibe. And we encored with Wheels and
Walking in the Sun.
We wanted to do like a kind of bluesy encore, and that felt just so right. There's a lot of gigs where that stuff doesn't feel right. If the following night when we hit Rome, it's more of a Fink club gig. It's less of a kind of, oh wow, acoustic blues moment. It's much more of a kind of Pilgrim sort of Revolution, Berlin Sunrise type gig. Yeah, Padova was really, really beautiful. I can't remember the hotel.
That was the one where there was a sign saying that people should not.
It was the Spa Hotel. Oh my God, this hotel was crazy. Full disclosure, I have a problem with hotel keys and hotel cards. If I collected them, my house would be full of them because I always nonchalantly, swan out. And I'm always, anyway, these keys in this hotel were like, this hotel was like a full 80s spa hotel. Didn't need any work, but it was just a lot of old people, big pool, and these keys were like these giant, is a real key and had a giant fob made out of like solid brass
with a sort of dangly green bit.
Sort of dangly green
like a sort of
bronze.
Looked like a kind of centurion's helmet.
It did,
didn't it? Yeah.
And you can't forget that. But I managed to. It's still in the van right now. Yeah, I remember that hotel. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was quite nice.
Now, the hotel algorithm kicked in a little bit there.
Yeah.
The hotel algorithm is the nicer the hotel, the less time you get to spend there.
Yeah, and vice versa.
And vice versa. The shittier the hotel, the more time you get to spend in it. So this hotel had this big pool. It was like 35 degrees, really hot. And I was like, oh man, day off here would be all right.
We could have totally had that.
Yeah. But no.
No, we had to get in the van and drive to Rome. But this hotel that we're in right now, we've decided to call it the Cellamonte exception.
Yeah, the Cellamonte exception.
Because this was a very, very nice hotel and lots of time to spend in it, which is great.
We had half a day off and a morning in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, we needed it. Paradise.
Yeah. So then we did the hottest drive. Like central Italy is very, very hot.
Central Italy in August.
Yeah, when you're on the road. We stopped halfway down in the services, and God, getting out of the van and walking to the service station was almost an ordeal, wasn't it? It was so hot. And Italian service stations, I have to say, are very nice.
That's one of the bonuses.
Good food.
It's one of the bonuses of touring Italy, isn't it? Is because I mean, as a touring band, you do tend to become a connoisseur of service stations.
Yes.
Service stations we have visited, and I've been to Chianti before. I've definitely stopped there before. It's on the route. I've definitely been there before, and you get real coffee, you get real and the sandwiches are like, oh my god,
they're huge, they're lovely.
I have a rule, like I never eat food from a service station, but in Italy you're just like, that's better than the deli down the street from me. I mean, it's just so nice. Yeah, we got to Rome. We talked about Rome. We did an absolutely steaming hot club gig.
Yeah.
And so we talk about the rider. So we go from Mula Hunzigen, where we get vegan cheeses, a meat board, quiche made by a chef, vegan options, local wines and all that kind of stuff. We get to Rome, bless them, at Monk.
Yeah.
And there's like, I think there were some breadsticks in a cup. I don't know how long they've been there. I think with breadsticks they can last a while.
Probably, they're designed to.
And maybe a ballisto or two on a plate. I don't even know if there was a ballisto. It's not even a ballisto.
No.
And so on our rider, it's quite minimal, to be honest, because we don't need much. But my rider, I need to have lemon, ginger, honey, a knife, a kettle, and a spoon.
Yes.
Sounds like a Dillinger track. So that's all I can need. And so
they managed. How much of that did they manage?
They got well, in Switzerland they got lemons and a kettle.
Right.
In Padova, I don't think I don't know what we got there.
It was missing honey.
It was missing honey. In Rome, there was just nothing, not even a kettle.
No, there was everything but not the kettle.
That's true. That's true.
Was there? Okay, yes, there was everything but the kettle.
Yeah, and no knife either.
And no knife. That's the difference sometimes. It really doesn't matter. We're not there to enjoy a rider. We're there to do a great show. But we have especially now we're kind of heavy touring. I need that for the voice. I just need that to. It's not like a ritual thing. It's not like a brown M&M's thing. It's like I need it for the voice. So,
I just got a call from Parma.
This is the place we're playing today.
Yeah. The guy wanted to know if it's okay for you, if instead of a kettle, an old woman next door, she's gonna warm up the water for you.
In a pan?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Okay, I like this.
Call me twice.
This is artisanal.
This is great.
I'm going to put that on the rider from now on. I need pan-boiled water.
From an old woman next door.
I need hand-picked lemons.
This is live tour managing you're getting here. That's amazing.
Small detail.
Well, that's all right. Okay. Say yes, thanks.
Of course, it's a yes.
Yeah, say yes. Made with love.
Wow. So so Rome was the thing that we had hanging over us after Rome, though, was the drive after the show to the ferry port.
Oh god, yeah. Okay, so that day is a classic hard tour day because people who don't tour think of touring as very easy, and you get on a bus and people like wait on you hand and foot and you swan on stage and sing a few songs and everyone loves you, and then you swan off stage to great adoration. And it's really not like that. You get 90 minutes of stage time and you get 22 and a half hours of travel and detailing and motorway services. And Silvano telling you that there's a problem with the kettle in the next gig, which is amazing to know that in advance. I'll prepare myself mentally for that. Yeah. So this day was a classic hard tour day. This is the kind of day where when the wives kind of go, oh, it's okay for you, you're ... and you're like, okay, this is my day today.
Yeah.
So what was it? We get up at 6:30.
Yeah.
What was it? No, after the gig we drove 2 hours to get to the ferry port.
Yeah. And on the way, we had to drop our sound engineer in a hotel, and we spent about 45 minutes trying to get him his booking.
Yeah, dicking around with that.
Yeah.
Get to a hotel in a ferry port at 2 in the morning, the hotel algorithm there, I mean, that hotel was the kind of hotel that I ordinarily would have just turned around and got another one, but we were only there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours in a single room.
I had to wake up the receptionist.
So we get 4 hours sleep, then we drive to the ferry, we get on a ferry, 5.5 hours of ferry to Sardinia, and then we get out the other side, and then it's a 3.5 hour drive across Sardinia to festival site kind of thing.
In a town called Cagliari.
Cagliari.
Yeah.
And then load in, sound check, gig, load out.
Yeah.
And then drive to hotel.
Yes.
So if you think about it, that's up at 6 in the morning, and we do the gig at 9 at night.
Yeah.
And you're on the whole day. It was a really, really long day.
Yeah, very hot.
Very hot. But Sardinia's amazing. I mean, it was great. Yeah. It was great to drive across the interior, get to the other side and see the sea and just be like, that's really beautiful.
It was lovely. And that was an unknown one for us because we've never been to Sardinia before, and we were a little bit concerned about what we might find at the other end. I think we thought we'd find a little bar with a sort of area for a band to play in the corner.
True. That's very true.
And then when we got there, it was a sort of really nice funded arts centre with a courtyard in which they've put this massive stage and a massive sound system, and the crew, who were, I guess, all locals, who were the nicest guys.
Yeah, great crew, really
they
great crew.
They were so lovely.
And you know, the sound system, it was just really surprising. It was a beast of a sound system, and the locals were great. And you know, again, a blisteringly hot day, but then the night comes in, it gets a bit cool. You got this sea breeze coming. It was right next to the sea, so you got the sea breeze coming in. And a really delightful show, and it, because it was post-holiday season, there weren't many tourists there. It was all locals, and part of us trying to get into the nooks and the crannies out there as a duo, because the fees are lower, so you have to strip down your costs a lot in order to play in these places. They're so happy. I don't want to say grateful, because that's the wrong word, but like they're just really happy that you bothered to make the effort to come all the way to Cagliari and do a gig. And because they're not going to be able to go to Rome or go to Milan or go to Zurich or something, you know. And so it's great to do a gig round the corner from where they are, and it gives us a good feeling that we're doing something good.
Yeah,
to do that.
Yeah. And it was an interesting that one, because the humidity was such that when we got on stage to play, everything was slightly wet.
Yeah, soaking wet.
Like a little film of...
Including your drum stool.
My drum stool, yeah. I did sit on a wet drum stool. I thought it had rained a bit, but it hadn't.
Just that. I mean, when we put the guitars after the show...
Yeah.
We cased up everything, and my guitars were soaking when I put them in the case. And I did kind of think, okay, they're going to go back in the cases, and then we're going to be in a steaming hot van for 2 days. Yeah. And then we're going to open the case, and either they're going to be warped and broken and cracked, all the strings are broke, or not. Turns out they're all right.
Yeah.
But we then had to do that trip in reverse.
Yeah, well, we did have a sort of an extended morning off, because we didn't have a gig the next night, right? So we had an extended morning off where I walked into Cagliari, and I did 4 mile walk.
And you did your usual city walk.
My stomp, yeah. Which was great, actually, really nice.
That's right. I caught up on my emails, a bit dull, but our hotel, it was it wasn't like a Sardinian retreat. It was like sandwiched between 2 petrol stations on the outskirts of town, and so I basically did my yoga and then just checked my emails all day and caught up with my emails, which was nice. Then a 3-hour drive back down to Oblia, and then a ferry up to Genoa.
Yes.
And this ferry, I got to say, I'm a ferry guy now.
Yeah.
Because it was so civilized
nice.
to drive onto a ferry, get a little cabin, and then, you know, have a little bite to eat, wander about, stand on the deck.
The bit for me was standing on the deck watching the ferry leave in the warm air, like a warm breeze. It wasn't like kind of getting on a ferry in Dover.
No, true that. You know, get your hair blown off.
Spray all over the place. It was just beautiful. Then we got a beer. We sat on the deck and had a lovely little chat, and there was people sitting in deck chairs and playing music, and it was just really sweet.
It was really nice. Really sweet, and it's so civilized, like planes and flights and all that, check-in and passport. Yeah. This was different. You just get on, get your room key, get yourself settled. It was just, and then you wake up then, and obviously the med is like flat as a pancake. So there's no movement of the boat. It's just this lovely chug. It's lovely white noise. It was like being on the bus.
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
a lovely,
it was,
lovely
actually.
little bus, except you're in
Exactly.
a cabin instead of a coffin.
That's true, and you don't get bumps all over the place.
That's true,
like bumps in the road.
It was so nice, and then you wake up the next morning with a ding dong, and you get out of the boat, and you're like, oh, this is just like lovely. I'm a ferry guy now.
Yeah,
Loads of
I
families
love
on the ferry, loads of
Totally.
kids running around. It was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
Finn, can you please talk to me with that fake Italian forever?
So, and that was lovely. So now I'm a ferry guy, and then we drove to here.
Yeah.
Right. So, and here is Piemonte
Piemonte.
Jazz Refound Festival.
Yeah.
Very renowned. The locals love it. Really great bill. You had glass beams, and we saw Ezra Collective absolutely shut down that
Smash
festival.
it. Oh my god, they were so good.
They were the last gig on the last day, on the last night of
Yeah.
a beautiful festival in a beautiful hilltop Italian sort of medieval city. And, you know, basically we did our gig, which was lovely to play for everybody and do our little sunset gig. It was really, really cute. And then we shuttled off, after we packed everything down, we shuttled off to this amazing little like local restaurant where we had the food was just like off the scale, super simple, but just served with so much love.
Yeah.
And just roast beef and potatoes has never tasted so good. And actually they told us that they provided all the meat for the festival, 75 kilos of roast beef.
Roast beef, yeah, I know. Yeah, the thing that this festival did perfectly, which Silvano, you mentioned, was that they got the town involved. So they took, but all the shops, all the kind of cafes and so on were all catering for the festival.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it?
You know, so
everywhere you went, there was everyone in their front yard
Yeah.
cooking something, or making something,
yeah.
or selling something. It was great.
very nice, very nicely done.
So we ate this massive meal, and then kind of got back up to the site, and got back in sight, and got a little non-alcoholic beverage, and then went up to this platform, this VIP platform, to watch Ezra Collective absolutely shut this festival down. And I mean, it was a tour de force.
It really was.
It was so amazing. There was one bit where all the band, the lead guy's drumming away, doing some really cool kind of Afrobeat jazz drum situation, and then all the band disappear, and you kind of go, oh, it's kind of like the end then. And then they reappear one by one, coming from the front of house through the crowd with their instruments, playing and still playing and doing the thing, and all the crowd are like all around them, and it's just like, oh dude, it was
so
mental.
good.
And it wasn't like for a moment.
No,
it was like for 20 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
And that crowd were rocking.
Yeah, they were loving
I mean, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was absolutely brilliant.
And
you
they put on Italian football shirts as well, didn't they?
It was just a tour de force. Ezra Collective, I mean, great band, great band, great live show, well honed machine. Have done a lot of gigs, big season this season, but man, I would imagine following that.
I know. Totally.
I would be like suicidal if I had to follow them.
It was an honour to sort of think we've actually opened for them, because that was a really nice. I think that's quite a nice show, having us do that, and then Ezra do that.
A bit of misery, a bit of yearning, and then a bit of massive party.
It's probably a good time now to talk about the other people we played with, because we played with some good people on this.
Played with Alberto Bianchi.
Yeah.
He was really
in
great
Cagliari.
in Cagliari. He was a really lovely singer-songwriter vibe. Played with Nick from Saytech in Rome and Padova.
Lovely.
Really nice cool duo. Lovely vibes. Lovely sort of Americana, Italian singer-songwriter vibes.
Really nice, really well written little pieces.
And who was the girl in Switzerland?
Barani is the name of the act, but she was called Tanya, wasn't she?
Tanya, yeah. And that was really bonkers, because it was like hardcore indie grunge shoegaze, sort of almost metal at times.
Yeah.
Bit of screamo going on.
But on her own.
With a pedal board that was like the Starship Enterprise. It was like literally like 5 feet long.
Yeah.
And when I saw her set up after we did our sound check, I was like, that's a really extreme pedal board for a solo acoustic singer-songwriter set. But then when we heard her set,
we realised why.
And that amazing Nirvana cover she did.
She did Heart-Shaped Box, and it was very, very good.
And at one point I was backstage and I was just coming from the stage.
She said she'd been for metal singing lessons.
Dude, she'd been on a grunt lesson. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So great, that was absolutely lovely.
Yeah, that was really good.
So yeah, Jazz Refound was amazing. I hope they ask us back. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, and again, nice staff, lovely staff.
Yeah, and so we have one more gig tonight on our little Italian run before we go home for a break, and then we hit the Med. We do the Med run.
Well, we do 2 in Portugal.
Yeah,
and then Spain.
Okay, so some of it isn't on the Med, but we've called it the Med run.
Yeah. This whole thing's the Med run in a way. And then the final 2 are in France.
That's right, Montpellier, Marseille. But that's another episode.
That's another episode. Yeah, I mean, if you are in Madrid or Valencia or Barcelona,
please come
and see us, because it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome, and at the moment there are plenty of tickets available, so that would be good.
And then after that is Montpellier and Marseille. We're playing Rockstore in Montpellier, which is a venue we really like, and Espace Julien in Marseille,
which we've hit many times.
So that'll be really nice. But tonight we're playing in Palm. I mean, when you hear this podcast, we will have done it, but we're playing in a place called Traversetolo.
Yes.
Traversetolo, which is another kind of town.
Well,
festival.
we'll see it. Well, tonight's gig, we'll see.
Yeah.
Silvano's already laid it up by saying they haven't got a kettle. So I'm just going to put that out there in terms of technical problems we might encounter tonight.
Sure.
If kettle is a problem,
God knows what else is going to be a problem.
So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Also, Silvano kind of gently mentioned, we kind of don't know how it's going to go. We really wanted to do a show with these guys for a while. Let's see how it goes. So I feel a bit guinea piggy on this one.
Sure.
So, and that's fine, because it's nice to. We're basically this little Italian run. It's part of our rebirth. This whole album's been a bit of a post-COVID rebirth for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And so this Italian run is also part of that. It's about trying to build Italy back into a touring spot for us, because we love it.
Yeah.
We love the food, we love the people, we love the weather, we love everything about it. Giving Italy gigs is about us trying to build Italy back into our tour schedule somehow, so we can make it a regular thing. So, and
I think it's definitely on the way to becoming that. I
mean, we've definitely made friends, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been beautiful.
For sure. It's a shame you didn't go to Naples, because you said how brilliant that was last time.
I'm totally obsessed with Naples. It was so amazing. It's the Wild West down there. Next time.
Yeah.
But for now, we have a 3-hour van ride, load in, sound check, load out situation. So we should probably go.
Get going.
I can tell Silvano's energy is definitely.
He's got the car keys in his hand.
He's literally ready to go, and he's kind of fidgeting a little. So we should go. We've overrun by. We should have left about half an hour ago.
We're going to be late.
We're going to be late. Oh, great. Okay. Well, with that,
that's my job.
So we're not going to say see you next week. We're going to say see you in 2 weeks, because that, I think, is the regularity with.
And Silvano, can you just in Italian tell us what my rider is?
So Fink needs zenzero, limone, miele e un bollitore elettrico.
Thank you.
And then he's happy.
And then I'm a happy man. Thank you,
That's great.
Silvano. That's awesome. All right, till the next time.
Till the next time.
Yeah. See you on the road.
In Portugal.
Ciao.